Live from Fargo and serving you on TV, online, and on the go. This is Valley News Live at 5:30.
Breaking news out of Moorhead. That's where 3 females were arrested about an hour and a half ago after police say they led them on a chase. The chase started in the 1100 block of 5th Street South in Moorhead and ended here near 50th Avenue and 45th Street South. Police say the chase lasted from 5 to 7 minutes and that they were able to slow the vehicle down with stop sticks. The 3 females have been booked into the Clay County Jail.
I don't want her to be remembered as being an addict, because just because you're an addict, it does not make you a terrible person. She was still a good person, still had a big heart. And she loved with all of her heart.
We now know that the human remains found in South Fargo last week are those of 32-year-old Brenda Cardis. Cardis has been missing since last July, and police say they believe her death is suspicious, adding that they're treating this case as a homicide until their investigation shows otherwise. Valley News Team's crime and safety reporter Bailey Hurley talked with friends of Cardis today. She joins us live in the studio with more. Bailey?
Andrea, as you can imagine, it's been a devastating day for the friends and family of Brenda Cardis. Several telling me they never even thought of today's outcome as an option.
I was devastated when I found out. Actually, when I found out that it was her body found, I burst out in tears, because it's just sad.
Brenda Cardis disappeared into thin air on July 12, 2018. Last seen leaving a Fargo rehab center where police say Cardis was court-ordered. And that's a fact that many in the community have focused on when talking about Cardis's case online. And it's something Brenda's friends and family say they want to stop, saying Brenda was more than her addiction or any other problems that she had.
As being an addict, because just because you're an addict, it does not make you a terrible person. She was still a good person, still had a big heart. And she loved with all of her heart.
As of right now, there is no one in custody in relation to Cardis's death, but Fargo police say they do have multiple persons of interest. And they also say they believe there are several people who have information on what happened to Cardis. Her friends tell me they hope answers and justice for Brenda come soon, adding they will continue to remember Brenda for the good person she was and hope the community does too.
She was like the type of person you'd want to be friends with. Like, she's very charismatic. She had this bubbly personality, and I was like, wow, this girl is really pretty, and like, that's who I want to be.
Police say the medical examiner was not able to determine a cause of death, as all that was found last week were Cardis's skeletal remains. Andrea?
All right, Bailey, thank you. Fargo police are urging the public to contact their tip line with information on Brenda Cardis's death or disappearance. That phone number, 701-241-5777. Authorities are looking for a man who led police on a pursuit on I-29 near Hillsborough. Officials say it happened close to 4:30 yesterday afternoon when a trooper tried to stop 2 sport bike-style motorcycles for traffic violations. Authorities say both motorcyclists drove off exceeding speeds of 130 miles per hour. One of the motorcyclists tried to exit the interstate when he lost control and went into the ditch. That driver was arrested and identified as 22-year-old Ethan Sewer of West Fargo. Here's a photo of this second motorcyclist who authorities are still looking for. If you have any information on the driver of this white motorcycle, please contact the North Dakota Highway Patrol at 701-328-1081. Not too hot, not too cold, just pleasant out there today. Let's find out about this evening. Here's your no-wait weather with Nathan.
Yeah, Andrea, today was the ideal day to be outside enjoying the last couple days of the work week before that long weekend, and have a look at the time lapse from this afternoon. We just had a few of those passing what we call fair weather cumulus clouds. They just kind of wafted by, glided by. No real concerns there with those clouds, but now we have some clearing sky at this hour, and that shows up on the radar quite nicely. How not much to speak of. All the rain is well off toward the north out near Thunder Bay, Ontario, and so we'll keep the things quiet and clear for the rest of our Thursday evening. Temperatures now, we're in the middle 60s in Baudette and Bemidji. We'll say middle 60s also for Detroit Lakes and Wadena. Up along the valley, right around 70 degrees. And we're in the upper 60s there in our western counties. And for tonight, we will stay fairly mild in the upper 60s by just after dinner time. But once that sun sets, we lose any of that heat that we saw from the sun earlier today. Middle 50s there by midnight. And a little bit, same story there for our friends in Grand Forks. A bit of a northwesterly breeze this evening. But we will talk about the Labor Day weekend, Andrea, I know us coming up, so we'll have a much more detailed weekend forecast coming up in just a bit.
We seem to be on a path of like cool days.
Yeah, we are. There is
Not
some warmth
hot.
out there still.
Okay, all right. We'll wait for that. Thank you.
You bet.
Concern is growing tonight along the eastern seaboard as Hurricane Dorian grows in the Atlantic. Forecasters are now warning the storm could be a major Category 4 hurricane by landfall. The current track shows Florida in the crosshairs, and Jay Gray is there with the latest.
After battering the Caribbean, Dorian is now taking aim at the Atlantic coast and growing. The storm has doubled in size over the last 48 hours and continues to intensify. Forecasters now warning it could be a major Category 4 storm with winds over 130 miles an hour before landfall.
To see that there's, any portion of Florida could take the brunt of a strike.
So you got to prepare for water, and you got to prepare to lose power, and you got to have a plan that you execute.
The current track shows the entire Florida peninsula in the strike zone, but concern stretches from the Keys through the Carolinas. Millions topping off gas tanks, filling sandbags, and making sure generators are running. There's been a rush on food, water, and supplies.
From batteries, flashlights, generators, extension cords, anything that they can use that are going to give them the survival.
Survival that could hinge on preparations over the next few days.
Saturday, I'm going to put my shutters up. The praying has already begun.
As Dorian builds and barrels closer to the coast. Jay Gray, NBC News, Daytona Beach.
Officials say so far, airlines have canceled more than 80 flights within the U.S. A man is behind bars accused of stealing gas and then fleeing police. The Stutsman County Sheriff's Office says it started around 1 this morning in South Jamestown. They allege 24-year-old Brett Mears filled his tank and then drove off without paying. About a half hour later, deputies say they spotted the suspect's car about 4 blocks away from the gas station. That's when the pursuit started, ending about 15 minutes later southwest of town when Mears drove into a ditch. He is facing multiple charges, including theft of services, reckless driving, and fleeing police. Valley City Police are asking for your help finding a missing person. 40-year-old Mark Davies was last seen on Saturday in Catherine, North Dakota. Davies is a white male, about 6 feet tall, 180 pounds. He has light brown hair and a full beard. He was last seen wearing a dark-colored T-shirt and blue jeans, and last seen driving a black 1999 GMC Yukon with North Dakota license plate 327CCM. If you have any information about him, you're urged to call your local law enforcement. A 71-year-old Lisbon man is in the Cass County Jail facing 2 charges of gross sexual imposition. Ernest Bollinger was taken to the jail Tuesday after being arrested. An investigation began after authorities were notified of sexual abuse allegations against Bollinger involving a minor. A woman has significant injuries after a crash between a car and a semi pulling an empty gravel trailer east of Park River, North Dakota. It happened at the intersection of highways 17 and 18. Authorities say a car driven by Jennifer Matthey of Cavalier pulled into traffic close to the semi, and that's when the truck hit the rear driver's side of the car. The truck driver, Michael Garza of Grafton, was not injured. Matthey was taken by ambulance to a Grafton hospital. A fatal crash in Montreal County claimed the lives of 2 people who lost control of their motorcycle. Authorities say it happened around 7:30 last night when 51-year-old Richard Bohr and passenger 50-year-old Tammy Collins were traveling on Highway 2. Their motorcycle was pulling a small trailer. When they lost control, the motorcycle and trailer began to rotate counterclockwise, then overturned and slid into the median. Both people were ejected from the bike. The Cass County Sheriff's Office has released results from last Friday's sobriety checkpoint. Officials say about 583 vehicles entered that checkpoint. 22 were flagged for further testing. 4 arrests were made, 3 for DUI, 1 for driving under suspension. For more information, go to valleynewslive.com and click on this story. A Minnesota State Fair tradition gets its very own day in the Twin Cities. Today is officially known as Giant Slide Day. That's because it celebrates the 50th anniversary of the Giant Slide at the State Fair. The mayors of St. Paul and Minneapolis joined in on the fun, but without the typical sibling city rivalry.
And this is 50 years of entertaining Minnesotans. This is 50 years of business and job creation for people in our community.
Together, they presented the owners of the slide with a plaque to commemorate the day. And a reminder to tune in on Saturday at 1:30 for the Farmers Union Insurance Bison Football pregame show. We will have a full 90-minute live show from Target Field, taking you up to kickoff between the Bison and Butler Bulldogs at 3 on the KVLY and KFYR Bison Football.